And once again, it's Erin Timms trying to teach you a little bit about who I am. Today I'm actually down in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. This is where I currently am working, and the reason why I'm here is what the panel has to say behind me. In 1790, Samuel Slater came to the U.S. from England carrying the knowledge of powered looms and textile machinery, hoping to create his own industrialization in the U.S. He came to Pawtucket and he was using the Blackstone River as his major power source. Pretty soon I'll take you to the Slater Mill, but I wanted to show you some of the panels behind me that document the industrialization of the U.S., taking technology from England and making few improvements to try and make it better. As you can see behind me, there are a few examples of the changes that happened in the textile industry in the 19th century, late 18th century and early 19th century. These changes allowed for the industry to boom, and particularly in places like Rhode Island, where mills popped up after Samuel Slater started his mill within the next decade. Mills were popping up all throughout Pawtucket as well as Rhode Island, moving to small villages and working in different areas. Well, here we are, folks. We're at our second place that I wanted to show you. This is still downtown Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and behind us is the Slater Mill reconstruction, as well as the Wilkinson Mill that's behind us, the stone structure, which is original. So the reason why industry became so prominent in Pawtucket had a lot to do with, and Rhode Island and New England in general, had to do with the falls that they had. The water power that they could harness ended up being one of the major things that drew a lot of industrialists into this area. It was a cheap way to power mills, and prior to steam engines, it was the only way. Alright, well, let's take a look. We'll get a little closer and maybe we'll be able to see some of the features of the park. Alright, so behind me is the actual dam, one of the dams that was built to help power the Slater Mill as well as the Wilkinson Mill. I'm not sure if this dam is actually original. They tend to wipe out, and it's been a major contention in New England in the last decade as far as dam removals, which is a big part of the work that I've been doing as an industrial archaeologist, is evaluating sites like these and their historic integrity. These river restorations to try and get fish to repopulate these rivers that have been extinct for a while or decreasing in numbers is a major part of what my job is. And so as you can see, we've got a small dam. There's also another drop in a dam down here that would have been operating for mills all along the Pawtucket, or all along the Blackstone River. And so one of the sites that I'm about to work on in the next few weeks is a documentation project. It's just early phases, but we're going to do some trenching in a parking lot directly next to the Slater Mill. We do know from historic maps there was a late 19th century tannery there. There was a late 19th century hattery there, which is eek. We assume there are contaminants such as arsenic and mercury within the soils, and it's actually one of those projects that's been a little contested just over them needing to do some soil analysis. Currently we are standing in front of one of my sites that I've intermittently worked on over the last 2 years working for Public Archaeology Laboratories. This site was identified in the early 90s as having potential. It is a part of 3 mill privileges all along this creek that runs next to us. It was one of those sites that was a very small complex and would have been an example of a place unlike Pawtucket. It develops very late. It was mostly cottage industries that ran along here, and only in its late 19th century development did it actually start to build up its infrastructure and get steam as well as try and extend its life force. Initially it was a mill privilege, and there were about 7 manufacturers that were operating out of here, one of which was a tannery and a blacksmith shop, which was initially a part of the early beginning. The dates around the late 18th century, going into the 19th century. I guess one of the reasons why I'm interested in working for Time Team, which I should explain, is the fact that it would be a great opportunity for me to further my studies on industrialization, going to the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, as well as somewhat understanding the fact that it's been a big challenge for me as far as working in cultural resource management. The burnout rate is quite high, and I want somebody to remind me of why I went into archaeology. I love these type of sites and I enjoy working on them.